Um, so this is so layered and it's a little nuanced. I will say that um, while every woman who comes to me has her own story, there's usually some common thread. And there are these narratives, like I hear a lot of like, I'm just not good with money, or I have a spending problem, or math was not my subject. It's usually told in this specific, like, humorous,
Mhm.
laughing, like jokingly self-deprecating way
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
they're like, I'm just not good with money. I have a shopping problem. Like, don't give me a credit
Mhm.
card. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, like let's back it up because I feel like that's
Mhm.
deeper and that's
Mhm.
cutting deeper than you're fully acknowledging.
Mhm.
And this is something that like, for me, like, a millennial, like I was around, movies like Clueless, things like where like we were fed this idea that
Mhm.
women's shopping is frivolous,
Mhm.
that the things that we want are lower from a moral perspective and a priority perspective, and that we just don't know. Like, we
Mhm.
just don't know, right?
Mhm.
And, of course, like, Legally Blonde was huge for me because, like, you could be all of this, but you could still be,
Mhm.
a genius, right? Anyway, um, in all of these pieces, like, women have taken on these narratives as part of an identity, right? Of part of a way. And what lies underneath that, honestly, and this might be triggering for some people, is guilt and shame. And what's lying underneath that is this idea that we've been fed that we are not enough. So then when we seek through a consumerist system, when we seek to have enough and to be enough and to look enough to all of the enoughs, then we have somehow been careless and frivolous and, a poor steward of our resources when we are kept in this cycle of
Mhm.
you are not enough. And so you must find enough and become enough. And now that you have done all of these things, now you did too much. And now you must feel shame for simultaneously not being enough and having done and been too much. And so that all comes together and women keeping it high level and going, I'm just not good with money. I have a spending problem. And I'm
Mhm.
like, hey, actually, you, you've internalized a lot of stuff. Let's
Mhm.
look at what's really happening. And
Mhm.
and that can be really challenging. That can be really
Mhm.
challenging. Usually the
Mhm.
folks who find me are ready to challenge those beliefs.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like that's a very valid point that you put in that yeah, I do hear a lot of women just saying that and I've done that myself.
yeah,
Initially I would say like, oh, like yeah, like I'm just not a math person, like I'm not good with numbers. Just things like that. And yeah, when you reflect on it, like, oh, like where did that belief
right,
come from? And it's like, oh,
right.
like, I heard it from other women, or maybe, through a
Yeah.
movie, or, TV shows or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then it's just, um, it's also thought of it as like an inborn skill,
Mm,
that it needs to be, which it's not, you can
no.
learn it.
Yeah.
And that's like
Yes.
that's also like a very common myth about money, that oh, like, that is something that you already need to have, like you
Yeah.
can't really learn it. So
I think that like with any skill that we can learn, like there are people who have a talent for it, right?
mhm,
Like I personally am a huge data nerd. I can make data tell a story. And like that's actually one of the things that I work on with my clients is I'll go, okay, hey, send me this information. We're going to go through it. We're going to find where you're actually spending your money. I'm going to tell you what your money is telling you. This is the story that your money is telling you. I have a talent for that,
mhm,
but it's still learned. Like
mhm,
knowing and being able to pinpoint these things just like reading, just like riding a bike, all of these things can be learned. There might be people who it's easier for, but you can absolutely still learn it. Um, there was something else I was going to say. So the other piece too, and this is part of the systemic issue, is that these beliefs that we inherit. So like we probably first hear something like, I'm not good with money, or I have a spending problem, or any of these things from our mothers, our aunts, our cousins, our sisters, like friends, and then culturally and in the media, that's where we first start to hear these things. But then they're backed up by the cycles that we then fall into as a result. So, okay, you get your first job and you need now to find new clothes and new hair products and new makeup. And then you find yourself walking out of Target or Ulta or Sephora or whatever, having spent a lot.
Mm,
And you're like, oh God, this just is evidence. This
mm,
is evidence that I'm bad with money. This is evidence that I have a
mm,
spending problem. When in actuality, it's evidence that women are held to a different standard.
mm,
And in actuality, it's evidence that we are told that we need things that we don't need. But then
mm,
also from a social perspective, we are expected to have.
mm,
So like, but then those things are also frivolous and not of value. So
mm,
then again, we're given evidence by our society.
mm,
And so it is again that cycle where,
mm,
we're told that we can't. We
mm,
then are given evidence by society that that is true. And then we are shamed for it being true
mm,
and
mm,
have to go back through and with compassion and love, heal that for ourselves.
mm. Yeah.